people make assumptions all the time. You're probably making an assumption about me right now. But how will this assumption or your thoughts change if I were to say that I have diabetes? Because I do. I have type 1 diabetes. Now, if you don't know what type 1 diabetes is, or that there is a type 2 diabetes, this is the speech for you. In this speech, I'll explain the differences and similarities between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Now, first I'll explain the differences. There are two main differences. The first is how the different diabetes are caused, and second is on whether or not they are preventable or not. Now, the first is the cause. Type 2 diabetes is caused because the people's insulin becomes ineffective over time. Now, insulin is what prepares glucose to be used as energy throughout the body. Glucose is in sugar or bread or candy. It enters the body, and in the sugar, glucose enters the bloodstream. And it can't exit the bloodstream and perform tasks for major organs like the brain or muscles without the use of insulin. Insulin is formed by the beta cells in the pancreas. The pancreas is around here. Now, type 2 diabetes is more common because it can happen to anybody, and it can happen throughout any part of the life. Now, I have a synopsis. So from the account called Diagnosis and Classification of Diabetes Mellitus by Journal of the World Health Organization in 1999, they stated that type 2 diabetes comprises 90% of people with diabetes around the world. Now, type 1 and type 2. So type 1 diabetes originally they originally diagnosed it to kids. And type 2 diabetes, they originally diagnosed it to adults before they learned the differences. So type 1 diabetes, the cause of type 1 diabetes is guessed to be caused from a viral infection. Type 1 diabetes is guessed to be caused by your immune system killing off the beta cells which produce insulin. This is explained better in the article titled Type 1 Diabetes by Ramesh Kardori. This was published on December 13, 2023. Stated a viral infection that may trigger the immune system, and in those with genetic susceptibility. And the end result may be that the immune system begins to attack the beta cells of the pancreas where insulin is made. Now, type 1 diabetes cannot be prevented. There's no way to guess when this may happen. It just happens. In type 2 diabetes, it can be prevented or slowed down. It's when you overload your body with more and more sugar and glucose, it can cause type 2 diabetes because the insulin gets less effective. Now, type 2 diabetes is preventable if you have a healthy habit, if you eat healthy choices or food, and you have a healthy lifestyle. Although some people are more susceptible to type 2 diabetes, but there are ways to prevent it. Now we're on to the similarities. The similarities between type 1 and type 2 diabetes is that they're both discovered at the same time and the same medication is used, insulin. Now that they're discovered at the same time, I have a quote from an article, Principles of Diabetes Mellitus by Portsky in 2010. It stated that in the late 18th century, an English physician noticed that diabetes developed in individuals after an injury in the pancreas. He goes on to say that at about the same time, another English physician identified sugar in the urine of patients with diabetes. So, type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes have the same symptoms, which is why they were thought to be the same at first. That sugar was found in the urine because there was no way else for it to get out of the bloodstream because it wasn't being moved to the brain or used up by the muscles. They also use the same medication, insulin. Now, most people have insulin, but for type 1 and type 2 diabetes, they need insulin to survive. Now, insulin is not a cure, sadly, but it does help people with diabetes live the most normal lives that they can. So in conclusion, we talked about the similarities and differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. The differences were that they had different causes and they were or were not preventable. And the similarities were that they used the same medication and that they were discovered at the same time.